Welcome to a narrated discovery, the channel where we wander slowly, listen deeply, and explore the world's hidden beauty, one country at a time. Today, our path leads us to Slovakia, a landlocked country in the heart of Central Europe, bordered by Poland to the north, Ukraine to the east, Hungary to the south, Austria to the west, and the Czech Republic to the northwest. Slovakia is a country of mountains and rivers, forests and meadows, castles perched on rocky cliffs, and villages nestled in green valleys. Its history stretches back through the centuries, shaped by Celts and Slavs, by kings and poets, by the enduring rhythms of the land. With a population of around 5.4 million, Slovakia is a tapestry of cultures and traditions. The majority of Slovaks are Christian, predominantly Roman Catholic, with significant Protestant and Greek Catholic minorities. There are also vibrant Jewish, Orthodox, and small Muslim communities, as well as deep-rooted folklore and local customs that linger in every corner of the countryside. Settle in, take a deep breath, and join us as we wander through mountain passes, ancient towns, and the quiet soul of Slovakia. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a misty forest in the Tatras, the mighty mountain range that forms Slovakia's northern crown. The dawn is pale and cold, the air scented with pine and moss, the grass still silver with dew. Above, peaks rise sharp and bright, dusted with the last snow of spring. Far off, a shepherd's bell rings, and the soft bleating of sheep drifts through the woods. You walk a narrow trail between spruce and fir, each step cushioned by old needles and scattered cones. Birdsong floats through the branches, thrush and warbler, cuckoo and jay, each note clear and bright in the morning hush. You pause beside a tumbling stream, dipping your fingers in the icy water, feeling the mountain's slow, patient breath. Soon, the forest opens onto a wide meadow, where wildflowers nod in the sun and the grass ripples with every breeze. Wooden cottages, their roofs steep and shingled, cluster at the meadow's edge. Smoke rises from a chimney, carrying the promise of breakfast, fresh bread, sweet honey, tangy sheep's cheese. A woman in a flowered apron waves you over, her welcome warm and easy. You eat together at a rough-hewn table, sharing stories in gentle voices. You wander through the village, where children chase each other between apple trees, and old men mend fences, their hands sure and steady. The church bell rings out the hour, its sound rolling across the valley. At the village well, women gather to fill buckets and exchange news, their laughter as bright as the morning sun. Everywhere, life moves at a gentle pace, the world anchored in ritual and memory. As the day warms, you climb into the hills, following a shepherd and his flock along narrow paths. The sheep graze on sweet mountain grass, their bells a soft music. The shepherd tells you stories of wolves in winter, of storms and shelter, of feasts and long nights by the fire. He carves a whistle from willow wood, teaching you a song as old as the hills. By midday, you reach a high pasture, the land open and bright. Edelweiss and gentian bloom among the rocks, butterflies dance in the thin air. You lie on your back, watching clouds drift above the peaks, feeling the slow turning of the earth beneath you. You descend into a small town, its streets lined with painted houses and old lime trees. Market stalls crowd the square, honey and cheese, wild mushrooms, embroidered linens, pottery glazed in blue and green. You buy a loaf of poppy seed bread and a handful of ripe plums, eating as you wander. Musicians play cymbalum and violin, their melodies winding through the crowd like water. You pause in the shade of a linden tree, watching the world spin gently by. A baker invites you into her shop for coffee and makovnik, the sweet poppy seed roll of the region. She tells you of harvest festivals and winter dances, of weddings celebrated with song and laughter, of legends woven into every village and field. Leaving the town, you follow the slow curve of the Va River, its water reflecting willows and sky. The road winds through orchards and cornfields, past villages where painted folk art blooms on wooden gates and window shutters. You pause at a wayside shrine, its niche filled with wildflowers and a flickering candle, a quiet offering to travelers and saints. In the distance, the spires of a castle rise above a tangle of forest and rock. You make your way upward, the path steep and stony, climbing between ancient walls tangled with ivy. At the top, you look out over the valley, red-tiled roofs and fields patchworked in green and gold, the river glinting as it winds away to the horizon. The air is filled with the caw of rooks and the steady drone of bees. Inside the castle, you wander through echoing halls and narrow stairways, past faded frescoes and empty fireplaces. The walls whisper of battles and banquets, of lost loves and old alliances, of poets and princes who once walked these stones. You find a quiet corner and sit, feeling the hush of centuries. Descending, you pass through a forest alive with sunlight and shadow. Mushrooms push up through leaf litter, and wild strawberries gleam among the grass. You cross a wooden bridge over a clear stream, pausing to watch trout flicker in the shadows. The world is rich with life, patient and renewing. The afternoon brings you to a spa town, famous for its healing springs. White pavilions line the park, where people stroll beneath chestnut trees, sipping mineral water from porcelain cups. You join them, tasting the sharp metallic tang, letting the calm of the place settle around you. In the shade, an old man plays the accordion, his music blending with birdsong and the laughter of children chasing pigeons across the lawn. You wander further south, into rolling hills where vineyards stripe the land. The grape harvest is in full swing. Families gather to pick bunches heavy with sun, their hands sticky with juice. You are invited to help, laughter and song filling the rows as baskets are filled and carried home. At a small winery, you taste the year's first wine, young and bright, tasting of wildflowers and memory. The winemaker's wife serves breams of haluski, soft potato dumplings tossed with tangy sheep's cheese and crisp bacon, and a bowl of kapustnica, the hearty sauerkraut soup of autumn. The meal is eaten slowly, the conversation easy, the world outside glowing with late afternoon light. Evening falls as you reach a hillside village, its houses clustered beneath the shadow of a ruined tower. Lanterns glow in windows, and the scent of wood smoke drifts on the air. In the square, people gather for music and dance, fiddles, bagpipes, and the deep thrum of the bass. Young and old join hands in a circle, their steps weaving stories into the night. You are welcomed into a home where the fire burns low and the table is set with honey cake and plum brandy. Stories are told in quiet voices, tales of wolves and wandering, of saints and miracles, of the patience and hope that see people through the long winters. You listen, feeling the warmth of belonging, the gentle heart of Slovakia. Morning finds you wandering along a country road bordered by sunflowers and poppies, their faces turned toward the rising sun. Dew sparkles on cobwebs, and the air is crisp, tinged with wood smoke and hay. Farmers greet you as they tend their fields, their hands marked by labor and sun, their smiles quiet and kind. You come to a small chapel on a hill, its walls whitewashed and roofed in red tile. Inside, the air is cool and scented with wax and lilies. You sit for a moment, listening to the hush, the soft prayers left by generations. Outside, the land rolls away in green waves, dotted with orchards and scattered farms. Your path leads into the heart of the Carpathians, where forests climb steep slopes and streams tumble through rocky gorges. You hike through beech and spruce, the ground springy with moss, the air alive with birds, and the distant call of deer. You pause by a clear pool, watching dragonflies skim the surface, feeling the world slow and deepen. In the afternoon, you arrive at a wooden village, houses dark with age, roofs shingled and steep. Carvings adorn every lintel and post, each pattern telling a story of ancestors and seasons, of hope and endurance. You are welcomed with rye bread and salt, a sign of friendship as old as the land. You join in the day's work, chopping wood, carrying water, tending the garden where dill and parsley grow wild. The pace is slow, the tasks steady, each moment rooted in purpose. Children play beneath the fruit trees, their laughter bright as apples. The world is held together by hands and heart, by memory and care. As evening falls, the village gathers for dinner.
The meal is simple: bean soup, roasted duck, potatoes baked in the coals. There is cheese and honey, fresh milk, and sour cherry preserves. The conversation turns to legends of dragons and knights, of hidden gold and wandering spirits, of the moon's slow dance above the mountains. After dinner, the musicians begin to play. The cymbalam's notes shimmer in the lamplight, and the violin weeps and laughs in turn. You join the circle of dancers, learning steps that wind and twist, that speak of longing and joy, of the seasons that shape both land and heart. The stars blaze above, cold and bright, and the night is filled with the warmth of music and story.
You sleep in a wooden room beneath a thick quilt, the window open to the scent of pine and wildflowers. The wind sighs in the eaves, and somewhere an owl calls, drawing the darkness deeper. Dawn brings a hush, the world wrapped in mist. You rise quietly, stepping outside as the sky pales to silver. The air is cool, the first birds stirring in the hedgerows. You walk through fields glazed with dew, every blade of grass sharp with light.
Far off, church bells ring in the new day, calling the village to life once more.
As the sun climbs, you descend from the hills into a valley, carved by the slow, bright river. The fields here are dotted with haystacks, and the white flash of storks hunting in the meadows. Villages cluster along the banks, their houses painted in cheerful colors, their gardens riotous with roses and hollyhocks. You stop at a roadside bakery, drawn by the scent of fresh bread and sweet pastries. The baker, flour dusting her apron, offers you kulicha, rolls filled with plum, poppy seed, or walnut, each bite a memory of summer. You eat at a small table beneath a linden tree, listening to the quiet bustle of the street, the song of bees, and the distant clatter of a horse-drawn cart. The road leads to an old manor house, its gardens wild with lavender and sage. The air is fragrant, heavy with the sun. You are invited inside for tea, served in delicate china, the table laid with cherry jam and thick slices of cream cake. The conversation drifts from history to harvest, from the hard years to the good ones, from the laughter of children to the stories that never quite fade. In the afternoon, you visit a town where the past lingers in cobblestone streets and painted facades. The castle rises above the rooftops, its towers mirrored in the river below. You wander the market square, where potters and weavers sell their work, where children chase pigeons and elders watch the world from shaded benches. You pause at a cafe for a cup of strong coffee and a bowl of brinzové pierogi, dumplings stuffed with tangy sheep cheese and sprinkled with bacon. The waitress tells you of the town's festivals, the music that fills the streets in summer, the Christmas markets glowing with lights, the dances that last until dawn. Evening settles over the town, the sky streaked with violet and gold. Lights flicker on in windows, and the scent of roasting chestnuts drifts through the air. In a quiet courtyard, musicians gather for an impromptu concert, their tunes rising into the night. You sit with neighbors and strangers alike, wrapped in the soft hush of twilight, the music weaving a spell of belonging. You find a small guest house for the night, the beds soft and warm, the sheets smelling faintly of lavender. Outside, the river murmurs, and the distant sound of laughter lulls you to sleep. At dawn, you walk along the riverbank, the mist rising from the water, the town slowly coming awake. Fishermen cast lines into the shallows, their breath clouding in the morning air. Women sweep stoops and water window boxes, bright with geraniums. You buy a loaf of bread from a passing cart, the crust warm and crackling in your hands. The path leads you into the heart of wine country. Vines march in neat rows along the hillsides, their leaves turning gold in the autumn light. You visit a family-run winery, where barrels line cool cellars and the air is heavy with the promise of harvest. You taste young wine, sweet and sharp, and eat slices of apple and pear as the family shares stories of the land. The day drifts gently on. You wander through a village where artisans craft wooden toys and painted eggs, their skills passed down through generations. The walls of the houses glow with bright murals, flowers, suns, and the swirling patterns of folk memory. Children play in the street, their laughter mingling with the tap of a woodcarver's chisel. You are invited into a home for lunch. Roasted pork with sauerkraut, dumplings, pickled beets, and a salad of crisp cucumbers. The table is crowded with bowls and platters, the meal unhurried, the conversation circling from the past to the present and back again. Afterwards, you share a glass of homemade slivovica, the local plum brandy, raising a toast to health and friendship. The road leads you onward to the foothills of the Little Carpathians, where forests of oak and hornbeam shelter deer and wild boar. You hike a winding path up to a ruined fortress, its stones draped in moss and wild roses. From the highest tower, you gaze out over the land, fields, forests, villages, all unfolding in waves of green and gold. In the evening, you reach a city buzzing with life. Bratislava, Slovakia's capital, stretched along the banks of the Danube. The old town is a maze of narrow streets and pastel houses, squares alive with the clink of glasses and the sound of street musicians. Cafes spill out onto cobblestones, and the scent of coffee, chocolate, and roasting meat fills the air. You cross the river on a modern bridge, its span gleaming in the lights of sunset. From the UFO tower, high above the city, you watch the Danube slip away to the south, barges moving slow as dreams. The world feels both ancient and new, holding history and possibility in delicate balance. At night, you wander the castle grounds, the city spread below like a field of stars. The stone walls glow in the moonlight, and the hush is deep, broken only by distant laughter and the faint ring of a bell. You pause on a terrace, breathing in the cool air, feeling the peace of the place settle in your bones. Your last days in Slovakia are spent moving slowly, exploring hidden courtyards, lingering over long breakfasts, hiking trails that wind through birch and meadow. You visit a mountain monastery, its bells echoing over the valley, its gardens bright with sunflowers and sage. You sit beside a quiet pond, the surface mirrored with sky, and let your thoughts drift. You share a farewell dinner with friends, the table bright with candles and flowers. There is soup rich with garlic and dill, roast duck with apples, pastries filled with poppy seed and walnut. Wine is poured, songs are sung, and gratitude passes hand to hand. On your final morning, you walk to the edge of the forest, pausing to look back at the peaks and valleys, the villages and winding rivers, the land that has welcomed you so gently. The air is cool and full of promise. As our narrated discovery of Slovakia comes to a close, we hope this journey brought you a sense of wonder, stillness, and quiet joy. If you enjoyed exploring with us, please consider subscribing for more poetic journeys to the world's hidden places. Leave a comment if you have thoughts, suggestions, or a country you'd love us to visit next. And if this brought you a moment of stillness, a like would mean the world. Thank you for exploring gently with us. Until next time.